Hi Fad Campers, it's Grace here and I have some new stand updates I'd love to tell you about. If you're based in the UK, I will be doing some dates in July and August and I'd love to see some of you there. I'll be in Leeds doing a work in progress with Amy Annette on July 4th in the Hyde Park Book Club. I'll be in Brighton on July 6th with Alison Spittle in the Comedia Comedy Club, and I'm going to be doing my own work in progress show in Glasgow on July 12th at Good Egg Comedy. Also then I will be at the Edinburgh Fringe, of course, for the entirety of August, from July 30th to August 24th. I'll be at the Assembly George's Square, the Crate, 10 to 3 every day. Would love if you could tell anyone you know who's going to be at the Edinburgh Fringe to come see my show. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
This show is part of the Head Stuff Podcast Network.
Hello, Fad Campers, it's Grace here. Now, before you go listen to the brand new episodes of Fad Camp, I just want to let you know that I am on tour in 2026. Yes, I'm going to be bringing my brand new stand-up show, Did You Hear We're All Going to Die, to Ireland and the UK, and I'd love to see some of you there. The tour kicks off in Ireland in February. I'm going to Drogheda, Limerick, Galway, Belfast and Cork. And in the UK, I'm going to be in Leicester, Bristol, Brighton, Edinburgh, Manchester and Leeds. You can get the link to all of those tickets on my Instagram or TikTok accounts, Grace Mulvey Comedy and Grace M Comedy. Thanks a million.
What's the best way to reduce? Eat plenty or starve yourself?
30 pounds in just 18 weeks. Jenny Craig totally worked.
I love to eat, but overeating made it impossible to lose weight.
My body wants bread, and I'm going to give my body what it wants.
Oh my God.
So I lost
Naturally.
Medical studies prove that overeating is the number one reason for weight gain. If you need to lose weight, use safe and natural springs away and bring your weight down without the use of unsafe diet.
Welcome to Fad Camp, a podcast that throws a comedy eye over our societal obsession of diets. Now, a little disclaimer, we are not health experts, but we are fad diet connoisseurs. I'm your host, comedian Grace Mulvey.
And I'm your co-host, Conor Dowling.
Welcome to Fad Camp.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Fad Camp.
Hello. Feels like such a long time since we've spoken.
I know. It has. It's been too long. Grace, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm currently getting ready for a tour. You probably heard it. I'm going to pre-record a little bit to put before the episode. So getting ready for that. So excited, Conor. How are you getting on?
Any chance to plug the tour, right?
Any
We're here
chance,
to talk about Fad Camp.
Lads, they be tickets. They be tickets to sell. They be tickets to sell.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll be there in spirit, so I'm wishing you well on your tour. I'm good, Grace, and I hope our listeners are doing great too. Today we are talking about Grace's favorite topic, which is sperm.
Okay, so just for everyone to know, I don't know what's being spoken about today, so that genuinely was a shock.
Grace, what are you talking about? You requested, you were like, please, Conor, I need you to do this episode. If I do, people will think I'm weird, so you have to do it because you're a man. I was like,
every season, I'm like, when are we getting to the sperm of it all?
I know. And you wouldn't think it would be something that we talk about on Fad Camp, but look, we love fads, we love trends, we love weird things that the internet throws at us and tries to make us think are normal. So diet culture has come for our eating habits, it's come for the way we exercise, it's messed with our mental and physical health, and now it's coming for our boys.
No,
the swim team in your jeans.
You're joking me. It's coming for the spermo.
It's coming for the boys.
Spermo. It's coming for the boys. The boys are going to be devastated. Don't tell me they're going to have to go no carb.
Grace, what do you know about the male fertility crisis?
Actually,
get serious, just like record
Jesus,
scratch.
That came out of nowhere. I'm still on my carb joke, and you're like male fertility crisis. I'm going to tell you, I don't know much. Although I will say this, right, and this is something I've seen on the internet, so of course, don't know if it's true or not. But you know the way that, like, the moment a person gets pregnant, it's like, hey, you have to watch what you're eating, drinking, blah blah blah. Apparently.
Yes.
The 9 months before you...
Oh, you already know.
Well, I'm just wondering if this is true. The 9 months before you get pregnant, the man should be also watching what he's eating and drinking because it changes the quality of the sperm. Which, by the way, Buzz, And I'm using very binary terms here, okay? But like, you know, obviously there are transgender women and men who, you know, we're going to go across that, but I'm just going to use the binary terms to make it easy. But like,
Gotcha.
Just looking out for my homies, looking out for my peeps.
Yeah.
But you know, the boyos, lads, you also should be, you know, concerned about the quality of your sperm if you're intending to make a baby. Okay.
Whoa. Okay. Well, that was a reality check for me. I'm very uncomfortable. I can't believe you just tore me to shreds like that. No, you're totally right. And like, I would argue that like, it's kind of common sense, you know, in a way. Like, I mean, I know
this is common sense, but before hearing it on TikTok, I'll be honest, I never heard that before. I never heard that being talked about before.
Let me play the video that you may be referencing to add to its 2.5 million views.
I said that men should have to spend 9 months getting in the best physical shape of their life before having a baby. Preeclampsia is tied to men. Morning sickness is tied to men because men build the placenta. 50 to 60% of the baby's epigenetic makeup is because of the man. So if you're going to spend 9 months following all these rules while building a baby inside you, then I can spend the 9 months prior to that not drinking alcohol, limiting caffeine, I'll get blood work, I'll have 3 healthy meals a day. I will be in the best physical shape of my life prior to you getting pregnant for the betterment of you and your pregnancy and our baby. It's common sense.
Grace.
Do you know, it's so funny. They are a couple that I actually follow online. Like, I do like their videos. He's a stay-at-home husband, and how much it kind of annoys, you know what I mean, people, that he stays at home. But he's so right. Like, it's that thing of like, and you know what, that's information that I didn't know. Preeclampsia, morning sickness is linked to men and their habits before having a baby. I have never once, you know, a lot of my friends and family now are having kids left, right and centre. I have never once heard the discussion, what has the man been doing since we've been trying?
Right.
Never once have I heard anyone talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, and I think that it's definitely, this video has gone bonkers viral and it has struck a chord with so many people. And I think bringing men into the conversation around what can be done, you know, before pregnancy is... It's a good thing. It's a good thing. I suppose the part that kind of jumped out to me as being sort of fad cam territory was that where he says about getting into the best shape of his life in the run up to it. And my concern there is, you know, I think a lot of men will hear that and be like, best shape of my life? Deal. And then they'll go and and they'll turn themselves into try to turn themselves into like an ultra athlete or a bodybuilder, or take a bunch of internet snake oil supplements and injure themselves working out before possibly considering like a balanced approach to all this. Because, you know, he did throw out a lot of interesting sounding medical facts, but like, are we a doctor? Are we an expert? Or are we an influencer?
This is it. Okay, so that's the thing. You know, this is a guy who's like, I've heard this now and that makes a lot of sense to me. Great. But I'm going to need doctors to come out and be like, yeah, so this actually here are the studies, this is the link. But my thing as well, you're so right. Because here's the thing, what I did like about what he said is, I'm going to be in the best shape of my life. I think we're taking that to mean as in like the way he looks, rather than actually best shape. Because let's be honest, like him going 3 healthy meals a day, that doesn't necessarily mean it's 3 like calorie controlled. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not eating this, I'm going to use protein powder, I'm going to whatever. That could just mean like, hey, like when a woman's pregnant, like when women are pregnant, they can't, you know, there's certain cheeses they can't eat. There might just be things that you're like, yeah, so I'm probably not going to eat like a load of foie gras anymore, or like 10 pizzas in a day. Maybe I'll just make sure I'm getting my greens in so that the boyos are swimming well. But like that, again, that's a holistic approach. If he had started going down the route of like best shape of my life in the sense of like looking cut, or what at the moment is being sold to us as the best shape of your life, what do we mean by that? Like, because right now with the jabs being out there, the weight loss jabs, with everything, apparently skinny is. And we know that to not be true.
Right.
We know that to not be true.
Yeah, and like I say, I think this is a great jumping off point for discussion because like up until maybe, recent years, it has just been kind of thought of that the man just needs to show up. He needs to, do his business, whatever that may be.
He
we
needs
don't
to provide the seed.
Yeah, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors, okay? And then he fecks off, and then the woman is then scrutinized through the entire pregnancy.
Crazy, yeah.
And afterwards, we know so many mothers after they get pregnant, if there's the slightest, if their child has any issues, they go, "What did I do while I was pregnant to cause this?" They blame themselves,
Yeah.
And here we have like, a modern man who's saying like, no, like it's their men have a part to play in this as well. I think the concern about, Grace, I don't know if you know about this, right? But the internet is not a great place for nuance. And fertility
Shock surprise.
From my rabbit hole of research that I went into on this show, the things are a little bit more nuanced than the sort of more sensational kind of things that come out of here. So we're just going to explore this topic a little bit and discuss it. I know personally I have people in my life who've had fertility issues, and it's been such a heartbreaking, arduous, devastating journey. So like there's definitely I definitely come at this with like compassion and understanding. It's more so just the kind of internet attitude that people apply to it that I think might be a little bit maybe oversimplifying.
And then here's the thing that would, as you say, make you worry, where what does best shape your life mean? Are you suddenly going to be like to overweight men who are about to have kids say like, well, you can't have a kid if you're not like a certain weight, like, because that's what has always been sold to us. While actually best shape your life could just be like, like, let's be honest, probably drinking alcohol, not the best move. You know what I mean? Like,
totally.
Or anything like that. It also, would make me worry. The only thing it is something that it really annoys me about the shaming of women when they're pregnant is, like someone can be having a very, very stressful time. Like a friend of mine was, I think she was like 8 months along, and she had a glass of wine because, listen, at that stage, third trimester, that baby's cooked, all right?
Yeah, he's ready to go.
You know what I mean? That baby is cooked. And like, like loads of different medical professionals would be like, yeah, that's absolutely fine. But she was like, I got stared at. And she's like, I'm about to go through this really tough medical procedure, which I don't think a lot of people like to think of births as medical. They are like surgeries. Like, and I don't think you would expect someone, by the way, to be back up and at it, in any way, like after a surgery as quickly as we expect pregnant women to be. But like, it's also that thing of like, what's good for the mother in terms of stress. Like stress relievers for pregnant women and stuff like that. So like if that, we were already drilling down to that, I don't want that mentality to go to men. Like that's not what I want to happen. I don't want it to be like suddenly we're like, hey, had a bad day, well, you better kick that can of beer out of your hand. You know what I mean? Like we don't want that either. But what we're like is that balance. And again, that's why I'm so interested in this, because it's like, are we coming for men? Are we coming for the boys?
I think the boys are in trouble here.
Ayo.
Okay, this is turning into a manosphere podcast, and I hope our listeners are ready to buckle up.
We're always on the cusp, aren't we? It feels like we're always on the cusp of going.
I know. It's either we're going to be a conspiracy podcast or. But Grace, as you know, balance don't pay the bills, baby.
Balance don't pay the bills, girls. I love that.
So it something's going to go more viral if it has a more kind of like more intensity to it than something that's like, hey, maybe like cut out alcohol, like, in the weeks leading up to conceiving. So just
providing your seed
to whatever that means, we don't know. So he says in the video, preeclampsia is tied to men, morning sickness is tied to men because men build the placenta. On the blog Motherly, they say that the key here is that he says it's tied to, as dads aren't solely responsible for these issues. Conditions like morning sickness and preeclampsia have multiple contributing factors, and their exact causes remain relatively unknown. Some commenters on the video point out that while it's a lovely concept, parents should take care not to oversimplify complex health issues. Well, this is great in theory, one user noted. Preeclampsia has so many contributing factors that aren't necessarily tied to the dad. Epigenetics doesn't improve in 9 months, you know, like he's saying he's getting blood work done. He's getting, like, there's only so much you can basically do in 9 months to change like that, like major epigenetic style factors that might contribute to complicated pregnancies. So it's that kind of thing of, well, if I just like, you know, have like, you know, 5% body fat and like, you know, run a marathon and eat clean and take all these supplements, then I'll have control over things that are kind of outside of my control, basically.
Isn't it a funny thing? And we're going down, listen, it's a real eugenics sort of like route that no one, you know, I absolutely hate, which is that people don't allow for the fact that genetics plays such a part in our lives. Like, we just don't allow, like, it's like we want to be able to say we control so much, but for us little humans, we control so little. And like, actually, that's, you know, and you're opening up like that conversation of like, that's why the wellness industry and all that sort of stuff really pisses me off, because it's like this thing of like, but you don't do this and that's why you're not feeling well. And you're like, actually, some people are genetically disposed to some things. And like,
totally.
It is, lads, pure luck of the game that right now nothing on my body hurts. It's incredible. And I actually sometimes have to remind myself of it. Nothing in my body hurts, because someday something in my body will hurt. And some people are born with something having always hurt. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that I'm able to walk around and not have injuries at the moment is incredible, and it's not always going to be that way. And like, I think with genetics as well, like people who've never smoked getting lung cancer, you know what I mean? People being more predisposed to diabetes, to all these different factors that like, then we'd love to find a way to make it the person's fault. And like, although I'm like, it is great, I think, to have knowledge about the boyos and what they could do. Maybe if you're planning to have a, you know, baby with your partner, maybe a few years leading up to it, you could be like, oh, I'm going to look at some changes, you know, why not? But the same way I wouldn't blame a mother if a child had some issues or diseases, I would not blame a father either. And it's too much pressure we put on people. You know?
And, you know, we always forget like the thousands of years that people just like kind of had babies and oh shit, we're pregnant. Okay, you know what I mean? So like, there you can do all of the things and kind of still have issues, you know, unfortunately. By
the way, you can do all the wrong things and have a perfectly healthy baby. Like, do you know what I mean? The amount of girls who are like, oh shit, like I was at a hen, didn't even realize I was pregnant. I'll tell you something, I was on the Jaeger bombs. And then like, then they find out they're pregnant, but their baby's totally fine. Like, this is, you know,
Yeah, so again from the blog Motherly, I thought a helpful quote here was, historically much of the responsibility for pregnancy preparation has fallen on women, from tracking cycles to making lifestyle changes. While many men have been active participants in family planning, societal expectations have often placed the burden disproportionately on women. A shared approach not only eases the mental load, but also strengthens the partnership emotionally and psychologically. Since fertility is complex and not all challenges can be solved through lifestyle changes, men who take proactive steps can contribute to a more supportive and informed journey for both partners. Grace, so part of this trend online led to a lot of influencer ladies buying microscopes and looking at their partner's seed, shall I say, their samples under a microscope. I don't know if I want to subject you to some of these images, but I was watching them last night, and I went to bed with, like, last night just staring at the ceiling, thinking about some of the quote-unquote abnormal sperm that I saw under a microscope. Oh my God. Oh my God.
What's that abnormal sperm? Like, because all I'm seeing is, and if you're a Simpsons fan, like, I don't know if you remember like the Simpsons episode where it was like Homer's head on the sperm.
That's
all I'm seeing.
That's where millennials learned about childbirth, sex education, like literally.
Yeah, because I'm telling you right now, lads, I wasn't learning it in my Catholic all-girls school, I'll tell you that. Yeah.
I say that somewhat jokingly, but it's like 90% true, you know? Homer and Marge taught us everything we need to know about relationships, about marriage, about family planning. So you need to know a couple of things, Grace. I'm going to mansplain sperm to you right now. I hope you're ready.
I actually think I'm okay with a man explaining sperm.
I feel like this is an area that I should have some authority over.
Like, lads, I have no problem with you telling me about sperm. I just hate when you're like, this is why you should have kids. And I'm like, no, don't think that's true. Yeah.
Well, what if he's telling you about his superior quality of
it'd be
sperm?
like you explaining your beard to me. I'm like, that's okay. Even though I actually can grow my own beard. Thank you very much in my 30s.
Do you think that men should have their sperm quality test results on their dating profiles. Like that's just. I'm putting that to you right now.
Oh my God!
No, they have a photo of themselves. They have a photo of themselves, their mates, and then they have a close-up microscope photo of their
the old lads. No, though, if you were doing a dating app purely for people who want kids, which I do think should be a thing, like if you were doing that, then why not? Why not? If people were like, actually, I just want to find a partner who's really a person that I want to raise kids with. Sure, go with God.
That's
you know what I mean?
I feel like in some kind of like sperm clinic or donations and.
No, I'll tell you what they do in sperm donations, because a mate of mine did this. Well, she had an app first, which I call it Baby Tinder. Essentially, you'd have the profiles of the lads, but you don't have pictures of them as men. You have like as adults, you have only their baby pictures to go from.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So weirdly, you're like very cruel about these babies. You're like,
I don't
like that baby.
That is harsh. It's like, ooh, that's
harsh.
Not for me.
Yeah.
So when it comes to sperm, I believe that from my research, there's kind of three important factors. There's the sperm count, which is what you hear about a lot, and that's like how much sperm is in the semen. Because do you know the difference between sperm and semen?
I actually don't.
All right.
Isn't
okay.
that shocking?
Well, now,
I don't.
I've
just been trying to avoid that my whole life, baby girl.
So kind of like what you see is the semen, right? It's the seminal fluid. The fluid itself is to help the sperm travel. Okay.
Oh, wow.
The sperm are the little tadpole-like guys, you've seen in The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And, right. So the seminal fluid is not like, that's not going to get you pregnant.
It's almost like a little spaceship that they're in.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And it's very high tech when you think about it. It's actually, it's kind of amazing. Like the male body is such a beautiful thing. No, only joking.
Isn't it? It's not celebrated enough. We need to do more research into this.
Come on. We need more attention. No.
Yeah.
So the seminal fluid, the sperm, like it travels inside that. And, when they take a sample of that, they will kind of count how many, what your sperm count is, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And the sperm, how many would you say like is in a typical quote unquote load? To use a term you might be familiar with.
Sorry,
how many
I know
sperm?
You can't see this, right? Because we don't have any video. But Conor did load with inverted commas, like he got his fingers up, load, and I'm like, that's so rotten, man.
It's like during sex using that. Like,
here's my load.
Here's my quote unquote load.
This is actually so terrible. I couldn't even
Grace
tell you.
looks
I'm
so
going to go.
uncomfortable right now. I love this so much.
No. I'm very comfortable. Thank you very much.
She's in her element.
I'm in my element, and I wish I could talk about sperm more often.
It's so refreshing.
I would say it actually is, because like I know women are born with all the eggs already, if you know what I mean, and we lose them over time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say this is going to be so embarrassing. 10.
10 sperm per like
10 like little tadpoles.
So there's 10 chances to get pregnant, right? Within there.
Well, it's not, because it's the strongest one that makes it to the egg. So the other little losers are the ones who are left behind.
Okay, Grace. So you might be surprised to hear that there are in fact millions.
Oh, stop.
Millions, Grace, per milliliter.
I said 10. Sorry, what? Wait, okay, so how many milliliters in a load?
Okay, so I'm working off memory because I didn't take down all of this. I didn't think this would be super important, but it kind of makes sense. There, I think like a typical like sort of healthy load. Now, some have more than others, but that's semen, right? That's the load. Yeah. Let's say I hate that expression. That could be like a tablespoon worth. Like, so
right.
Think of how many milliliters might be in a tablespoon. Probably like 50 to 100. So there,
joking?
There could be 40 or 50 million sperm. Like, and each of those sperm is like, could reach an egg, could become a person, right?
I'm shocked by this. I said fucking 10. That's actually so embarrassing. And I thought 10.
It's not.
But it's.
Well, ask a man how many eggs a woman has. I don't know, but I do know that they're born with their amount, and they're
born this way, baby. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, right. So in a one one sitting, shall we say? No, that's not
Yeah,
a good term,
yeah.
but one deposit. There could
Listen,
be
here, you hit load,
millions.
just go with load.
There could be millions in the load,
Yeah.
right? But so that's the sperm count. And when they do a test, they'll say, "Oh, you have a really high sperm count." But then there's two other factors. There's motility, which is kind of like how they move, and like in some of these samples, you will see like sperm that are like swimming, and you're like, "That's what you picture when you think of sperm."
Yeah.
You see some that are just like one lady on TikTok was calling them like zombie sperm, and they were just kind of like twitching out and just like. And many are dead. Many millions are dead.
God.
It's like a massacre in there, right? So you could have like a really high sperm count, but you could have like low motility.
Yes.
Right? So they're not really moving around. So how are they gonna swim all the way to the egg, right? Then this is the thing that really kind of messed with me is the morphology. So that's like basically like the shape of them, and like some of them, like what you picture when you think of like a sperm,
the Homer Simpson tadpole,
the head and the tail. There was some under these microscopes where they had like two tails or two heads, or like they were like really skinny or really like.
Oh my
like
God,
deformed.
Connor, you poor thing.
I know. That was like right before bed
just
last
killed
night.
You.
It messed with me. So like, yeah. So you're hoping that like the ones that are highly mobile or motile or whatever are gonna make it, and not the ones that have fucking two tails or whatever.
Not a zombie sperm. I'm not giving birth to a zombie baby.
Yeah.
The baby will come out my ear.
Let's just have a moment of silence for that. So there's a lot going on down there, right? On both sides, you know. So the idea being that, you know, if you get a sperm sample or a sperm fertility test, you can find out the results of your sperm count, your motility, and your morphology, and you want like obviously like good results in those things, you know. So I guess the people who we're talking about today are like trying to, you know, change those outcomes, you know?
Okay.
So there was a great article in The Cut, and it only came out like about 2 months ago. So we're very much on the cutting edge of like what people are talking
look
about.
At
I just
us,
want to say
we're on the cutting edge with The Cut.
Yeah, we've come a long way since talking about like the Atkins diet of the 1980s and 90s.
I don't think, we're like, have you heard of Atkins? I think what's
people
very
are eating
funny.
protein these days. You heard about that?
What's very funny is just like literally we're just like it's like we started out being like the carb diet, and now we're like, and your sperm, have you checked your sperm? Balance don't pay the bills, baby.
That's it, baby. So from The Cut, the newfound attention on this topic is thanks in large part to the manosphere. To hear longevity podcasters tell it, masculinity itself is under assault by our chemical-laden modern world.
Oh, Jesus.
Andrew Huberman has devoted ample airtime to the theory. Do you know Andrew Huberman? He's like a beardy, masculine scientist man, and he's always talking. He's got some good stuff, but he's not Joe Rogan, but he's like adjacent, you know.
Yeah.
He hasn't, you know, influenced global politics like in an overt way. So like he has that going for him. So he's devoted ample airtime.
I'm sorry, but isn't the level so low at the moment that's where we're
the bar,
he's a good guy now. He hasn't like thrown us into fascism.
He hasn't incited any riots now. Oh no, he hasn't. So
he's a good man, is what we're saying. Yeah.
But he's been talking about phthalates and pesticides and how they're destroying sperm counts. I've also seen him talking about like female fertility and stuff. Like, you know, he doesn't have any super like outlandish claims, but he would be he'd be a little bit kind of like alarmist, I guess, would probably be the word that comes up a lot for me. And then appearing on Joe Rogan's podcast last year, Surgeon General nominee Casey Means warned that we're all living in an estrogen stew that is feminizing men and depleting our vigor. Now, I clicked onto the link to just try to substantiate those claims. The podcast with this person on it was like 2.5 hours long, and I was like, I can't. I'll just take the Cuts, you know, research team's word for it.
Honestly,
So-
I think listening to that podcast would make your sperm turn into a zombie. So don't do it, lads.
that's the real cause of it.
Yeah.
We now return to estrogen stew with Joe Rogan. So the Cut also shared a video of this very ripped and fitness model type injecting his bum with injections, because everyone loves injecting themselves these days. That's like all the rage. Have you seen this, Grace? Have you heard about this? They're injecting themselves.
You know what? I hope to someday inject myself with something. I don't know, maybe bread or I don't know, but I'll get something.
Just a supplement of sugar. So this guy Ashton Pinar is a former Below Deck star. Do you know that show? It's like a American
I love Below
reality
Deck.
show.
Now I've only watched one
Okay.
series of it, so
Okay.
I'm a Below Deck girly. Yeah,
I'm not super familiar, but I guess like if you'd watched more series, you might know him. He's kind of come under fire for like there was like a whole misogyny kind of thing against like some of the cast members, against him about some of the cast members. He's no longer on the show, but he injects himself with peptides like HCG, a hormone produced during pregnancy, to stimulate sperm production, and glutathione to lower oxidative stress, which he says can contribute to unfavorable sperm, like the sperm that we just talked about, which are gonna they're in my nightmares. It's just like when I close my eyes, that's what I see. Just like
I don't know if you've ever seen, like, if you've seen The Substance, when like her eyes turn into multiple eyes. That's what I'm imagining the sperm looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, except that's like healthy compared to what I saw. So for the past year, Pinar, a former cast member on Bravo's Below Deck, has pivoted to health consulting on Instagram. If you were like a reality star and like that wasn't working anymore, like, become a health consultant on Instagram.
I'm so sick of people. Like, listen, and we always start the episode being like, we're not health experts.
We're just sick of people. Just leave it at that.
I'm sick of people. That's my health expertise. But just like, why do we all need to be... It's too much information all the time. And anyway, go on.
So on Instagram,
info.
he is the sober health coach, because he got sober 6 years ago and he's making it everybody else's problem. It says underneath how he's the sober health coach. So he's like a fitness. He looks exactly like a personal fitness trainer.
Yeah.
But his niche is, I help you turn sobriety into your best body and life. 6 years sober, blood work, genetics, gut testing, doctor reviewed. So like, not
review?
a doctor, basically.
Sorry, doctor reviewed. You know what I mean? Like, that's like, I don't know. Sorry if you've ever seen Schitt's Creek, but when Alexis comes in and she's like, my song, which was critically reviewed.
Yeah. So it says he's been on a mission to fix his sperm. The 36-year-old takes more than 21 supplements a day and steers clear of aerosol sprays and dishwashing detergent, which he says are full of endocrine disruptors. This isn't totally like groundbreaking wellness world stuff, right? This is like, I've heard, to avoid certain deodorants, detergents I'm not totally up on. I'm just like, I need the clothes clean. Like, I'll just use whatever is kind of available.
The way I look at it is, I'm like, I live in London. I'm sure the air that I breathe has that shit in it. Like,
it's better than it would have been in London like 600 years ago when it was just coal fires.
You know what I mean? I think we're doing as good as we can do right now.
Yeah. So in the mornings, he adds a cup of pineapple juice to his smoothie, which, if you believe what you read on Reddit, do you know this about pineapple juice, Grace?
No.
You don't know this? Grace,
What?
I'm about to change your life, girl. Pineapple juice has been long known to make semen taste better.
Stop the lights.
Grace,
Stop
I know,
the
I've
lights.
just changed your life. Yeah, no, but apparently it can also, according to Reddit, help your sperm swim faster. That's like, sounds a bit kind of folklore-y.
I want every man out there doing shots of pineapple juice every morning.
I agree. Exactly. And then he also wears underwear with a pouch designed to hold an ice pack, so he can cool down his testicles while he answers emails. Now, one thing that I kind of came across because I've been known to have an old ice shower, I've also been known to have a sauna. I did see a lot through a lot of my research last night. They're saying that saunas are not good. You know, like I've always had my doubts about, like, for men, for hot tubs and like hot baths. Like I've like gotten into hot baths before and been like, I'm doing myself damage here. Like literally, I can tell. Do you think you're
boiling the boyos?
I can hear them screaming.
You're boiling the boys.
I can feel them screaming. You know what I'm saying? Boiling the boyos.
You're boiling the boyos.
That's the name of this episode. Don't boil the boyos.
Don't boil the boyos.
So for saunas, and I saw Andrew Huberman said, because, like, you know, that there's so many mixed messages in the wellness world. It's like, do a cold shower, do a sauna, do hot and cold contrast therapy. But it's like, but like, you know, if you want to be fertile, maybe like avoid all of that except for the ice part. But I heard Andrew Huberman say that he puts an ice pack on his boys during a sauna. I was like, that seems a bit like
crazy.
You know,
maybe
crazy.
Just don't do the sauna.
That could be bad. That could be like making something even worse happen.
Yeah,
you know?
You're freezing the boyos.
And then, sorry, so I'm still up to all of the things that this guy is getting up to, all the things that this one guy is doing.
This guy says his routine sounds a bit Mark Wahlberg to me. Do you remember I went through Mark Wahlberg's routine?
Absolutely.
Like, this is
all
insane.
of this. All
By
of
the
this
way,
is giving
does this man have
Mark
kids?
Wahlberg. Well, Grace, where's his wife in all of this? Like, she hasn't been mentioned once.
I'm sure her poor, like, I'm sure she's been frozen by those balls before. Yeah. Like, this is...
But you see, this is where I kind of think that, you know, this is why I kind of latched onto this topic, because I imagine, you know, the conversation where the husband and wife are sitting down and the woman's like, okay, I think I'm finally ready to, like, you know, start our family. And he's like, I'm off to the gym. You know? Like,
he's like, imagine he's like, good, because I've had ice on my balls for the last 2 years. I've been waiting.
Yeah. So, like,
I haven't had a hot shower in 2 years.
I've been in training. You know, all those ultra marathons I was doing last year, all of those Tough Mudders. It was for you. It was for this.
Yeah.
So she hasn't been mentioned.
He's there, like, knocking back a pineapple juice. Yeah.
So he continues. He says, toxic chemicals, microplastics. Grace, I have come across so much stuff that there was this article that said, and The Guardian said this, every human testicle contained microplastics. And I was like, what? Like, how do they know every single testicle contains microplastics? And it's like, you go into the article, it's like, oh, of the 23 that they studied. Right, okay, got it.
Oh, shut
like,
up. Like...
So, but that was another article that I read that made me weak at the knees, and it was just like, apparently we're absorbing this stuff into our bloodstream. There's a lot of theories that polyester underwear and boxer shirts, basically anything that has like stretchiness. Do you remember like in the 90s and in the noughties, you used to just get like a pair of jeans and they were like the most rigid, like, I can't walk in these things, or like a proper pair of jeans now. But then, like, I just noticed like 10 years ago, I was suddenly able to get like stretchy jeans and like just be like,
listen, I'm going to say right now, I don't care if there's microplastics in my arsehole. Stretchy jeans have changed my life.
Right.
I am not going back to Levi's where they hate me.
Or like shirts. Like, I remember like when I was in school, and then when I like worked in the bank in like my early 20s and stuff, it was like ironing shirts all the time. And now it's like, oh, just get a wrinkle-free shirt. And it's like, oh, okay. But it's like, it's just full of plastic to allow that to happen.
But I did see an article recently, and when I say see, I mean I saw the headline, and it said that microplastics apparently is not as much as we were once thinking, and all this sort of stuff.
That would be. I would buy that, and I hope that's true.
I just think the alarmist thing gets me so much with this stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on. Anyway, sorry, I'm interrupting.
Because it's the internet and it's no place, and that's The Guardian, Grace, saying every human testicle, and you're like, wait, what? Like, how do they know? And
but
then
again,
like,
these are just studies, because I will say about the media, and we covered it before in the way that they the way that they report on studies, scientific studies. Every person who wants to be peer reviewed and who wants to have their studies published, you need to have something splashy so that the media will give a shit about it.
Right.
And by saying that microplastics are in every testicle, you know what I mean? Even testicles that haven't been produced yet, they're like, that is something, again, alarmist. And that this guy who has ice on his balls is like immediately like, I told you so. And like, that's one review of something. Like this isn't like with tobacco where we know what like nicotine and tobacco and smoking does to the people's lungs. Like that's different. That was something that's been, again, reviewed and reviewed and reviewed. This is something where I'm like, when it's just one report and then the media run with it, I'm like, that is dangerous. Because guess what? They don't do that in any other part of reporting. Like even if you're reporting about what's happening in the state of the world right now, they won't take that just by one like eyewitness says this. They need a ton of eyewitnesses say this. They want sometimes camera footage to back it up. Then they're going to report from the police. Then they're going to have a report from local news. Like they're going to get loads of different sources. Yet somehow with scientific reports, they're like, this one report will do.
That's why we need to take any kind of like health claim headlines that sound so terrifying with a pinch of salt, right? So I you know what? I'll give Eld Pinar, whose first name of Ashton, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He does say, the article does say he and his wife, so she has been mentioned now, have been trying to get pregnant for a year. And a recent semen analysis showed he had poor sperm morphology, which, Grace, if you remember our little sperm lesson earlier, what's the morphology again?
Is that the zombie one?
It's the shape. It's the shape of them.
Oh, right.
Basically.
Okay. Yeah. Where they can have two heads and one tail. And it's all,
It's there's things can be deformed and so on. I'm kind of oversimplifying that, but that's basically what it looks like.
You, yeah.
So now he's careful. He's even careful about where he puts his iPhone. He says, I used to drive with my phone between my legs. He says, first it was an ice pack and now it's this. Well, Jesus, not anymore.
I do feel like he's like, I don't know what other guys do, but I know where I settle my balls and it's on my iPhone.
What do you use for a coaster for your balls when you're driving? Like...
I'm sorry, but like, I just don't think he was doing that all the time.
Well, Grace, I remember my driving instructor when I was getting driving lessons. He was sitting in the passenger seat beside me, and this man, he had his iPhone under his balls, and it was so distracting. I was like trying to drive, and I was like, that man is frying his boys. We've boiled them, and now we're frying them.
No,
okay.
These sperm are coming out as fried eggs, baby girl. Like they're not even coming out in a normal shape.
These sperm are coming out already addicted to their smartphones. Do you know what I mean? They're coming out doom scrolling.
I can't believe that's a thing. Are men just doing this left, right, and centre?
So now I was already aware of this because, and this is a reference to another Fad Camp episode. My Holy Grail diet book was The 4-Hour Body by Tim Ferriss.
Yeah.
In 2010, in that book, he talks about how, and I'm just citing this from memory because it was burnt into my brain. He talks about how he was doing all of these like health tests and trying to like optimize and be like the sexiest, strongest boy in the world. And he basically found that he had like a low sperm count. And he was talking to some fertility guy. Okay, that's the part I don't remember. It might have just been some quack. But he said, stop having your cell phone in your front jeans pocket. Get like one of those like arm pouch things or put it in your top chest pocket.
Yeah.
And he said after a few months of doing that, literally his sperm count like quadrupled.
Stop.
Right? So that was in the 4-Hour Body in 2010, right? And meanwhile, Ashton in 2025, 26 is massaging his balls with his iPhone while he's driving. Like that, I don't know how else to describe it, right? But he says not anymore. He keeps his phone as far away from his front pocket as possible.
Yeah.
He also bought an EMF blocker. Do you know what that is, Grace?
No. Is that to block 5G
like
or something?
EMF is like electromagnetic field, I think. It's a sticker you put on the back of your phone that claims to protect users from harmful emissions. I'm pretty sure we all had them on our Nokia 3210s back in like, the early 2000s. It's like a tiny little, like you could buy it like separately.
Yeah.
The Federal Trade Commission has warned it's a scam.
Well, it sounds like it. If
it sounds like a scam. Yeah. I don't think because there's also just like whether there's like electromagnetic fields, whether there's radiation or whatever. There's also just like a lot of heat. Like imagine just getting like the way sometimes your phone just gets hot from overuse. It's like a little computer, like just like running and the battery and all that.
It's a machine. Like I don't understand. Like I'm like, it's a machine.
You wouldn't rest your balls on like the engine of a car. Like, you know what I mean? Like
you wouldn't rest your balls on a toaster. I don't know if you rest your balls on a phone.
On a kettle.
And you're like, I hope I'm not boiling the boys. I'm not boiling the boys.
Apple wouldn't boil my boys like this. They wouldn't, no, surely they wouldn't do that to me, So, yeah, and he won't sleep in the same room with his phone anymore. So again, like he's gone quite extreme. Instead of just like not having your phone on your balls, he's like taking 21 supplements a day. He's like, he's like raiding his medicine cabinet. And like, I get it. Like this is well documented in like the wellness world. It's well documented among women in the wellness world, particularly with our pal Christie's book, The Wellness Trap. It's like some sort of medical issue or emergency happens in your life. Mm-hmm. Doctors give you bad news, whether it's a diagnosis, it's a bad blood test, it's a sperm quality, a fertility test. And you go, oh my God, I thought I was, healthy. I thought I was doing everything right. What can I do to kind of get some level of control over this? And a lot of people go on, oh, well, I'm going to do a big cleanse. I'm going to do a big fast. I'm going to only eat things that are green. I'm only etc., etc. And that's kind of what's happening here. And it's actually quite sad when you think about it. You know what I mean? Because it's like it's someone who wants to start a family. Someone who wants to start a family.
And I applaud him for like literally, again, not toasting his balls, but like I applaud him for like actually trying something and looking at himself and going, okay, like what can I do to help this? What you're talking about, and I think this is so true, is the extremes we go to. And again, this is all based in diet culture and it's all based in blame culture, let's be honest, which is like, I will say what it sounds like this with this guy and with apple cider vinegar. A lot of the people involved who I think do turn to wellness in that kind of extreme way had and this is now absolutely a broad statement. I'm sure there's people who are not like this, but were born with no ailments.
Yes.
Were born actually their whole lives having never had any really big issues, no health concerns. And then one day someone turns around and goes, hey, there's this issue now. And they go, no, I don't think so. Like, as in like, they're like, well, what can I do? Because actually I've always been very healthy. And in a way, it's a bit of exceptionalism, I think sometimes happens to us. And I speak, by the way, a person myself, like I was born with no ailments other than being a fat kid my entire life, which people did tell me was an ailment and it actually isn't. But like, I've always been a very healthy person, touch wood. That's not going to last forever. Like that is just the way our bodies are built. Our bodies are not built to be healthy forever. And like, I think there's a bit of exceptionalism. And actually, I think the only reason I really fight back on it is because I knew people who had diseases growing up, who had diseases that were just genetic and had nothing to do with their choices in life. So that's just the lottery of life. And actually,
that's such a good point. Yeah.
I think that we go into this wellness trap because we're like, no, there must be something that I can do because I can cheat nature sometimes. There are small things we can do. Like, Jesus, I once had really low iron and like basically the doctor was like, you need to just find different food sources that have more iron in it. And I was like, great. Like there's stuff like that I can do.
Yeah.
But bar that, like, there's not much else. You know what I mean? I'm just living my life.
No one's telling you to go off and become, an extreme athlete or anything like that.
No,
it's just
because,
like,
and I don't want to. Because that's another
more
extreme.
Subtle. But it's not needed. It's not really needed. That's more of an over kind of reaction to the problem.
Hi, Fad Camp listeners. Myself and Conor finally got our act together and we have official Fad Camp merch up for sale. We are so excited. Now, my particular favourite is the enamel mug and the beanie, but we have loads of products for sale. So if you want to get any of our Fad Camp merch, please go to fadcamp.myshopify.com. That's fadcamp.myshopify.com. You'll be able to find the link to where our merch is for sale in our Instagram bio and our TikTok bio, as well as we'll have a little link in all of our episode descriptions.
Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the episode. If you want to hear more bonus exclusive content for Fad Camp, make sure to log on to Head Stuff Plus, and for as little as $5 a month, you can support our show and other shows in the Head Stuff Podcast Network and hear exclusive content from Fad Camp. That's bonus episodes, photos, videos. It's a really good time, so we hope to see you there. Now, back to the show.
So, like, one of the things that has emerged from this is an interest in supplements, okay? And I will say, like, you know, partially why this wasn't the most shocking thing to me, or feels like the most kind of like faddy, like 2025, 2026 thing, is because, like, 11, 12 years ago, when my sister and her husband were having their own fertility issues, they now have 3 kids, they were having like really tough times. Both of them were taking prenatal supplements, you know. So it's not super new. Like, this is like 12 years ago. Now there's a bit more kind of like, you know, attention on it, but like, there was a story of a couple in this Cut article about story of a couple who were struggling to conceive, and they did their research through the likes of Andrew Huberman and Reddit to cobble together their own fertility stack, which is what it's called when you get like a bunch of supplements to kind of target like one issue. They made their own fertility stack, which they say includes almost 24 capsules a day, which is kind of similar to our pal Ashton. And he's now the founder of Swim Club, which is a supplement brand that claims to start improving all sperm parameters in as little as 2 weeks and costs $135 for a 30-day supply. On Amazon, there are hundreds of supplements that will purportedly enhance your sperm, most of which include high doses of antioxidants like CoQ10, selenium, and zinc. CoQ10, selenium, and zinc, like, it's been known for a long time that those are like beneficial to male reproductive health.
But surely those are things you could find in any local
1000%. They've just put branding on it. They've just put branding on it. And here's a company with a name like Load Boost that are clearly marketed. They're marketed to men. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, think of your targeted ads, your guys browsing. It's like, have you got a low load, bro? You want to boost your load? And then there's another supplement brand called Ritual. I used to take their supplements, and their prenatal for women is kind of famous. Right. You know, there's a couple of other, but now, because they know they have the female customer base, they're going, hey, have you considered buying this other product for your husband? You know what I mean? So it's kind of an add-on kind of thing.
And as well, like, it's funny because it's not that there's anything particularly wrong about that.
No.
That's a very high price, though, for some supplements
it's a cash-in.
that actually you can get. Like, you know, I was in Lidl today. I got my supplements. Like, you talk to any dietitian or doctor, they'll tell you, listen, supplements kind of like have to have the same ingredients in them kind of across the board. So like, you can get it cheaper. And I think like, it's that thing of putting branding. It's like putting wedding in front of something, and suddenly a wedding cake is €900 instead of being like a cake for 50 quid.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's the same with fertility. And it's sad because actually there, as you said, are couples out there or people out there who are trying to have kids and going on these journeys and then being raked over. And this is what I fucking hate about capitalism. I just hate when we rake people over at their lowest moments, and which is what, again, we're bringing it back, but what diet culture is. Like, it's you're raking people over in really low moments and going, this is the answer.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just making them spend money.
So this all brings us to kind of, I guess, the sort of the subtext or the root cause of why there is kind of a societal microscope, for lack of a better term, or spotlight on this issue, and it's the male fertility crisis. Okay, and I put that in air quotes because, like I said at the top, I absolutely acknowledge like the couples out there that are struggling with fertility, and oftentimes I've read that there'll be couples struggling with fertility, and all of the focus will be like on the woman and like you know, does she have endometriosis, does she, you know, what's the egg quality, etc. And then they're trying all these things, and then like a year later they're like, hey, let's check out the guy. Let's see like what's going on with him. You know what I mean?
So mental that takes so long for it to be like, actually, sorry, I forgot there was two of you involved in this.
Yeah. So I absolutely like acknowledge, you know, and honor like the people that are having these struggles, because if, you know, it's the people, these are the people who really want kids and really want a family. Like it's heartbreaking, right? And there is help and there is support, but it is a journey, right? But there's also this kind of concurrent scaremongering kind of thing that kind of like fudges the data a little bit, okay? And I don't know if you're familiar with a little politician in America called RFK Jr.
I am indeed. Yeah.
I was going to play this clip, but his voice and he in general is so upsetting and infuriating that I won't expose our listeners to that.
Why is there an issue with his voice?
I won't get into that. But so he has long been a voice about, you know, companies that are like putting like chemicals in the water and pesticides and environmental, right? That has kind of taken on a bit of a life of its own in recent years, and it's getting a little bit more kind of conspiracy minded. But there was this press conference, or I don't even know what they called them anymore, just a bunch of politicians standing at a microphone talking nonsense, right? In October of 2025. And President Trump invited him up to reveal, you know, some of his work. And he asserted a very suspect statistic. I don't know if you saw this clip, but he said a lot of things in this clip. But the standout thing was, he said, the average teenager today has 50% of the sperm count and 50% testosterone than that of a 65-year-old man. Just like as a human with a brain, is there anything wrong with that, Grace?
Well, first of all, you know, testosterone changes in men's bodies over a lifetime. Let's be honest, okay? Yeah. But also, when anyone is like 50%. When anyone's like, it's a round number, can you believe? Can you believe? And actually, it's just, I don't listen to anything that man says. I'm going to tell you right now.
Great. I love
like,
your...
like, that's a privilege. Yeah. I'm not American. No. I don't have to listen to what this man says.
You're very on point here, but there's so much wrong with what he said in general, but that line in particular really stands out, right? So
next thing he'll be like, there's 10 sperm in every load.
We should do that. Have you seen that Instagram Roe v. Bros where the girl goes around interviewing men about women's reproductive health? We should do that with you. I just mean you.
Any question? I'm like, no idea. Sorry.
A fireside chat. I do remember you. Maybe we'll cut this out, but I do remember you years ago revealing something very funny about your understanding of the term blue balls, or like I remember you revealing that one time, and I was like, no, that's not true, and you were like, men are assholes.
that men would say. I remember this when I was like a young woman, that it was an excuse by guys where like, if you got them too excited but didn't want to go through with it, they get blue balls and it was really bad for them.
That's so messed up. I had never heard that. I had never heard that until you said that to me, and I was like, no, what are you talking about? And you were like, oh my God. And you just like had this like epiphany there in the moment.
I was like, men lie to get you into bed. This is insane.
I know. I was shocked. So anyway, so RFK, a man, boo. He also said in that same piece, he said a lot of things, but he also said that girls, conversely, are now reaching puberty and fertility at younger and younger ages. Now, I can't imagine why someone like him or him and his pals would have any kind of interest in that kind of thing, and why he would be in the same sentence saying that like men of his age are like very virile.
Fertile. Fertile.
Very messed up.
Isn't it so funny though that like it goes against, if you were to use any sort of logic in this, why is Viagra so necessary? for older
Yeah.
men. Why?
Absolutely.
Why? Is it because actually you don't have the same stamina or, you know what I mean, genetic makeup that you did when you were 21? Like, you know what I mean? And by the way, I'm not like Viagra, like great old drug, good, you know, good for whoever uses it. But what I'm saying is like, it's weird that people don't bring that up when they're talking about, you know, interventions that men need in that area. When interventions that women need, they're very vocal. You know what I mean?
So Grace, are you ready for me to drop the bomb?
Go, girl, go.
So, contrary to Kennedy's claims, sperm counts, this is from NBC, sperm counts decline with age, as he said.
Mm-hmm.
So young men have much higher sperm counts than older men, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think like anyone who has half a brain, would know that, right? But data about sperm counts in teen boys largely does not exist.
Shut
Grace.
Shut up.
Grace.
What?
They do not test the sperm of
teenage
minors.
boys. Of
That's
course.
not a thing.
Of course not.
That's not a thing, right?
Do you know what? I
So-
actually genuinely was shocked there. That I'm like, well, of course they wouldn't do that. That'd be
right?
insane.
Right? Some researchers contend that men's overall sperm counts are lower than they were generations ago, based mostly on 2 papers published in the last decade. Now, I've actually done a bit of research on this one, so buckle up. Others say there's no convincing evidence of the trend, and many agree that as sperm counts are declining, it does not amount to a full-blown fertility crisis. I'm jumping around to... I listened to this BBC podcast, More or Less, where they spoke to Professor Alan Pacey, who's an expert in fertility. He said that basically this modern conversation around the fertility crisis, or the male fertility crisis, is based off a study that was released in 1992. And it compared the sperm count of men from the 1940s with proven fertility right through to the 1980s. The samples in the 1980s included samples from men who were attending fertility clinics. Okay.
Interesting.
So the study has been widely criticized. And also what's worth considering is that what was considered a normal sperm count, quote unquote normal, wasn't defined until like later into the 1940s, or wasn't defined in the 1940s and came out more into like the 1950s. So like they were taking kind of data from a time when it wasn't really changed. And even since the 1950s, when they kind of like agreed, they've changed their minds over time of what normal actually is, right?
But that's of course, because like science, like it's what information you have at the time that you're able to use it with. You know what I mean?
So now they're saying that RFK was likely referencing this meta-analysis of global fertility rates that took place in 2023, which has had the same criticisms as the 1992 study. And these meta-analyses are flawed because they are massively general and don't take into account varying factors like the difference in sperm count in individuals, body types, nationalities, very similar to like, you know, our studies on like BMI, that kind of thing. And what's more is we're talking about sperm count, right? So we already know that there's 3 factors. So you could have low sperm count, but high quality, like high motility, high morphology. So like...
Or vice versa. You can have high sperm count and terrible mobility, But
if he's standing up there and saying that the sperm count is low, it's like, yeah, but those low guys could have high quality. So it's not really a valid statistic, you know?
I think as well,
it's also a made-up statistic. I just want to be very clear
it's
about
absolutely
that.
made up, lads.
There's
like
nowhere...
50%. Do you know what I mean? That's like 99% of what he says is absolute bollocks. But maybe it's actually, 98%. And but I think that like what they're trying to do there is bring in this culture war thing of like men are becoming too feminized and women are becoming too masculine. Which frankly is just actually really boring. But secondly, really hurtful and reductive and doesn't actually help us as a society. Listen, there's things we are actually dealing with in our society right now. This is not one of them.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? There are problems that we are all dealing with. And you know what? I'm like, here, how about you help people like afford eggs, man?
Right.
Not even women with fertility, just eggs.
But you're totally right. So it's like part of what they're trying to kind of raise an alarm about is declining population, right? And this was something that I couldn't wrap my head around because like I feel like, like most people are kind of like, we're worried about overpopulation. We're worried about climate change and like, the space in our cities and is there going to be enough jobs for everyone? So I had to kind of like do a bit of a deep dive into that as well. And basically the fear there is it's an economic fear, right? So if like the population declines, then the economy has grown and you know, you won't have, I guess, enough people to like take up all of the jobs that are like going to be around in the next 50, 60, 70 years, you know, because they're being taken by AI and so on. But there's all of these doomer articles. There's one in the Atlantic that said the birth rate crisis isn't as bad as you've heard. It's worse. I read that article and that is so like alarmist and scaremongering. And basically it's pointing at the birth rates in the ages of women in the ages of 15 to 44 have dropped off significantly, and they're like, it's fertility, it's you know, we're like the world is making us all like soy boys, and you know, like women can't give birth. It's like, no, what is actually true is women from the ages of 15 to 22, the birth rate has dropped off.
Good.
Okay, why do you think that might be? Why do you think that might be? Access to education, contraception, entering the workforce, and then as well, choosing not to have as many kids and not to have and to delay having kids to when they feel ready or when they can afford to have kids.
This is it, like, because I've talked to people who've been like, God, I would like to have 3 kids, but guess what? I'd be financially crippled if I had more than 2.
Yeah.
Or actually, some people, I'd be financially crippled if I had more than 1. Like, we all know this, that it's so true. Like, everyone likes to, again, and it is blaming women for the most part, but like this whole thing of like, even millennials, you're a generation that has to grow up. Guess what? A lot of people would like to have a family, but they kind of don't want to do it while they're renting.
Yeah. They want to have their own house. There's lots of things they want to have in place.
Well, you've made it impossible to get a house. So... Yeah. And then on top of that, like, God forbid, like a woman would like a career, and then you're like, oh, by the way, we're going to make childcare so costly. It'll be more expensive than that house you could barely get.
And it's politicians are the ones standing up there being like, oh,
it's the testosterone.
It's the testosterone. It's the sperm. I have better sperm than you do. And I'm the better generation. All this crap.
I'm 65 and I look great.
Yeah, I'm totally healthy and
young
normal.
Young women definitely want to sleep with me, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It's that thing of like, it's that thing of alarmist. You know what's really interesting, and I, you know, I'm just gonna say it. What's very interesting to me is that people are worried about low population, and then they're like, but there's an immigration crisis and there's too many people in the country. No, like, guys, you can't be doing this. Like, you can't have one argument and then actually cut yourself off with another one. Like, either something you believe something to be true, then I think, like, and I do. Listen, I'm a big welcomer of immigrants. If you want to know where I stand on that, but Jesus, you'd think the people who are worried about declining populations would be like, Christ, thank God for the immigrants. They're coming in and they're helping us out. And they're really helping us out.
There's also a lot of, like, when people talk about like a fertility crisis, like, because like here you have, you know, the president and his lackey basically saying that, yeah, we have a fertility crisis. So that's obviously going to resonate with people who are experiencing fertility issues.
Oh yeah.
It's going to resonate with people who have very kind of like traditional sort of like, you know, nuclear family values or whatever, or like, you know, that's the way they see the world, right?
Yeah.
But what people are kind of saying from a political standpoint, it's not a lack of fertility. It's a lack of access to fertility and reproductive healthcare around, we're talking about America, for example, but around America, right? So people can't afford.
But Conor, it's not just America. And this is something where it's like, if you're in the UK, like I'm in the UK right now, you talk to anyone who's tried to get IVF and you're talking, people are spending thousands. I have friends freezing eggs. They are spending thousands. Like, this is something where people who, it might have been their deposit for a house, are actually deciding, maybe I'm going to put that money into trying to have a baby. They're making choices that, frankly, if we are really concerned about this, shouldn't be allowing to happen. This should be a thing that we're like, well, as a society, we understand that with infertility being an issue. And by the way, it has always been an issue.
It has.
Like, I was listening to a history podcast today, and Emperor Nero, that absolute insane man, blamed his wife for not being able to have kids. Of course, like they were like, it could have been his sperm count, no, but of course it was always blamed on the woman.
Yeah.
But like, these are issues that have always happened.
Absolutely.
But what we're doing now is we're going, God, we actually have the medical expertise to help people, and we're making it impossible for them.
The service is there, the doctors are there, the drugs are there, but it's
the people,
not accessible.
The knowledge is there and the access is off. You know what I mean? And that's,
And one of the things I thought was really interesting was that they said that what's more of a problem is even when, so let's say you can afford the fertility treatments and you do get to have a child, guess what? The healthcare system, you know, particularly in America, once you have the kid, then they kind of don't give a shit about you. They're like, off you go. Best luck. It's like, oh, I've got postnatal depression. Oh, I've got health issues after the pregnancy. It's like, sorry, have you got health insurance? You're like, off you go. So these
or
people
even,
who they claim to want a baby boom, but they don't want to take care of the kids that come out of it, you know?
They don't want to make it a realistic society to have the babies. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I might be, like, I have so many people in my life who want kids, who want babies.
Yeah.
And whether it's, again, an accessibility, a livability, an affordability issue, a timing issue, don't get me wrong. And also, like, let's be honest, there are, you know, with dating apps as well, that's also created a kind of issue with people being out and about. COVID also didn't help. These are a lot of things going on. Like, people do want kids. Like, I don't think that's... But what we want is a realistic world to raise a child in, I think. And a realistic world being childcare, but also we're right now a very isolated society. People aren't able to live near families anymore. People aren't able... You know, like, when a child comes into the world, like, you need all hands on deck. It takes a village is not, like, a saying for no reason. So actually having people nearby, that matters. And we are quite isolated right now. Like, people don't have communities anymore that can help them. Community centres, they're important. You know what I mean? Baby centres, they're important. That's what we need, like, you know. And
the beauty of it is that there's room for people who want kids and want to start a family, and for people who want
who
to...
don't.
Who don't. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's room for both. So it doesn't have to be one size fits all.
And it doesn't have to be this argument, I think. You know what I mean? I think, again, that's another culture thing. And... it's a real us versus them, because I'm a person who I don't think I want children. I'll just be honest. I don't know, like, you know what I mean? But I'm definitely not a person I definitely wouldn't be a person who'd be like, I'm going to go out and freeze my eggs or have a child on my own or anything like that. You know what I mean? And yet I love helping out with my friends' kids. I love being able to help out with, like, you know, if there's someone in my building, they're like, oh, could you take care of my kid for like 10 minutes while I go do... I'm like, yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because again, that's what a community is. And like, I see children are a part of our world, a very important part, as much as adults are. And I just think it's mad that, like, I don't know, I think it's so sad when I even hear about this, that, like, we have to take things to such extremes to just do something that should be quite, frankly, easy, you know, to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to point out as well, a big thing that has come up throughout this, and like, you know, you look at RFK's words he says about, like, the testosterone is another aspect of it. So there's lots of things that affect sperm quality. There's vaping and cigarette smoking and binge drinking. They can also decrease sperm counts. But testosterone replacement therapy is something, TRT, that you see posted about a lot on TikTok.
Oh, wow.
A lot of young guys are like, oh, my testosterone is low. I listened to a podcast about Andrew Huberman saying that I should stop using the deodorant I'm using. It's turning me, you know, it's feminizing me. So they go on like internet testosterone pills to help them look and feel more energized, more strong. They get better gains in the gym. But it can also shut off sperm production. So
stop, Conor. You're joking.
And do you know who is publicly on testosterone replacement therapy? Is RFK, because he's an elderly man, and that's like kind of, you know, it can it
That's
can
so
decrease.
interesting that he's on that, considering he was like, but I've got more than the 50% more.
I know. Well, yeah, because he knows that his dosage. Experts estimate that 1 in 8 couples struggle with fertility, and in more than half of those cases, male factors play a role. Sperm quality generally starts to decrease after age 40, though fertility declines much more slowly for men than for women. Yet in many cases, male fertility is often overlooked. there's some truth to the idea that the healthier you are, the better your sperm is. Although it's estimated that about half of the cases men can improve their sperm quality through lifestyle changes, often in just a few months, whereas women are born with all their eggs. Men make new sperm all the time. Do you know how long it takes man to make new sperm, Grace? Just I'm curious of your knowledge. I didn't know this before.
I was going out with 10s, left, right,
10,
and
10, baby.
10, baby.
10 out of 10. 5 by 5. It takes 72 days. It's like kind of like a 3-month cycle where like there's like the sperm production happens in the body, and then it's like stored, and then it gets released. When there's interesting things happening in the bedroom.
Who knows?
That's all I know.
I mean, it doesn't have to even be in the bedroom. We hope it is.
Yeah.
But
someone needs to tell me what's going on in there, because I sure don't know. There are certain things we know aren't good for sperm, including obesity, smoking, marijuana, and other recreational drugs, and heavy drinking, even though we've also acknowledged that, like, people in all of those categories still manage to conceive.
Yes, I would like to see a study done, just studies linked between the fertility and obesity, because, like, even the sperm production for obese men and stuff, it's just because these studies are done with like a social stigma before people, people go in. It's like you're trying to prove something.
Totally.
That I'm always like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I completely buy it. I'd like to see actual studies done that come in with a blank slate and like are treating it and going, does this actually have a link, or are we just assuming that it does, or kind of working from a mind frame that it does? So that's what I was just wondering.
According to a reproductive endocrinologist and founder of Gold Coast IVF in New York, there's no magic bullet that suddenly makes you super fertile. For a lot of men, simple changes to diet and exercise and not smoking weed, that's come up a lot, can make a big difference, especially compared with supplements, which he says have marginal, if any, benefit. That's like a fertility doctor. Most of the men who come to me, they say they've done the fertility supplements. They've tried all of those things and it's not working. Like, that's when you're like actually having serious fertility issues. There's also no evidence that switching to cotton underwear makes much of a difference. Although I did get this like cotton underwear brand recently, and they're like the best underwear I've ever worn in my life. Also, the most expensive underwear I've ever worn in my life. Yeah, they're this.
I feel like the next episode will be sponsored by this brand.
Well, I wish they would, because when I told Jillian about the brand, I was like, "Oh, they're this brand," and she's like, "What? They're like women's period underwear." I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh no, they also have a men's range." I was like, "Don't do that to my boys." So, the microplastic thing is interesting. So it says, well, the vaginal canal is full of blood vessels. Male genitals are mostly skin, which is a pretty good barrier. So that they're not absorbing the shedding of the polyester of the microplastics. So that's a fun thing to think about. But for the women, that is more of a problem, I guess.
Jesus. There's always more of a problem for us.
I know, yeah. But still, Grace, we're talking about the men. Come on, let's just stay on message here. No, as for endocrine disrupting chemicals, no one really knows how much of a role they play, but some doctors spoken to for the article thought the panic was a little overblown. It's also not as if men have to be in peak physical condition to get someone pregnant. A lot of unhealthy men have been able to have kids for many years.
A lot of men who are in their 80s have gotten women pregnant. I imagine with the help of Viagra, I'm just saying, but
Yeah. So the number one cause of male infertility, unfortunately, is unknown. And many apparently healthy men with abnormal semen analysis may never get an answer. Yet with medical help, many can still become fathers. Once you're doing IVF, sperm count and motility matter a lot less. Why? Because they only need one good sperm per egg.
Yeah.
So all of these guys that I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok trying to increase the sperm count, I'm trying to increase all the things. If you actually do end up having to go
down the IVF route,
IVF, they're going to extract, the sperm, and they're going to do it themselves. So and in which case they may only need a sperm count of 10, to
that's
to
all
get the job done, Grace. So you might have been on something.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Fad Camp. As always, we want to thank our producer, Darren Lee. If you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to review us on iTunes, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Great ratings and reviews really help more people find the show, and it would mean a lot to us.
Make sure to share the episodes with friends and family or on your social media. Every listen helps.
And we absolutely love hearing from our listeners, so please get in touch with any of your diet stories on fadcamppodcast@gmail.com.
This show is part of the Head Stuff Podcast Network, a hub for the creative and the curious. Shows are produced in association with Head Stuff and the Podcast Studios Dublin. Find out more or become a member at headstuffpodcasts.com.